Hello, my name is Danny Santos, and I'm honored to be featured in this video. I was born in Brawley, California, in the Imperial Valley, Imperial County, southeastern corner of the state of California. It's agricultural valley, year-round farming, because it's irrigated from the waters from the Colorado River. So the valley was my birthplace and where I grew up all the way through high school. To work in the fields was something my dad told us we were going to be doing, not because of monetary necessity per se. We obviously got some money from that, but it was to instill upon us that strong work ethic was a key thing. The people that worked in the fields had a dignity to them. And it was that a skilled labor. It was very skilled. You just don't throw people into a field somewhere and say, become farm workers. And then lastly, I think my dad instilled on us something that we hold true even to now, that education was a much better route to give us new opportunities going forward, career-wise, personal-wise. And every year, even if we went north to work in the fields, we came back in time for school to start so that we could continue our education. It was a time to choose to go on to a four-year institution, and I chose Southern Oregon University. And I still recall to this day when I told my mother that I was going to this place called Oregon, she said, "Que no necesitas un pasaporte?" which translates into, don't you need a passport to get there? And I had to explain to her that Oregon was in the United States, but I was destined to go to Southern Oregon and become my own person. The opportunity I got to work in the office of the governor came in 1987, when then House Representative Rocky Berea, the first elected Hispanic to the Oregon legislature, recommended me to the governor's office to work on their staff. The first time I had the opportunity to walk up the Capitol steps as an employee of the governor's office, I knew it came with a challenge of bringing all my experiences and voices, including the Hispanic community's voice, into the table, the policy table discussions with the governor and staff. Even if it did involve an issue that was directly related to my policy area, I had experience, and others around the table had experience that were valuable to consider for the governor and for our office decisions. So it was quite the challenge and quite the opportunity. My first job for the governor was for Governor Neil Goldschmidt when I did citizen representative work. It's an ombudsperson type of work to help citizens with their concerns, their questions about state government. And it was a great educational opportunity for me to learn, not just about state government, but what it did and didn't do, as well as federal and local governments, and then obviously the private sector. So it was a big education for me, and I got to learn a lot that I think I could help our broader communities with. But other than that, I think I just had a chance to engage myself in Hispanic community events. For instance, Governor Roberts was supportive of building a farm worker housing unit in Woodburn. The community itself, the city itself, was opposed to that. And it was becoming quite the battle. And Governor Roberts, to her credit, said to the city, if you don't support this project, we will take all your community block grant development funds and stop those.
We thought about this, the city of Woodburn and us, working with the farm worker housing group for months and months. And eventually we won the battle. We got the property, the farm workers housing began building.
And it's now one of the national models for farm worker housing across the nation. And it serves not just the farm worker community, but the broader communities through its community service centers.
Over those many years, we have watched as the children of farm workers who lived there were in the education system of Woodburn, but it was their community that helped them get started to go to college. So I was lucky to have a man on my staff with the commitment, with the love of fairness and equity, who would step up and work with me on things I believed in, and he shared that belief with me.
I think what's special about Danny is his ability to bring people together around a certain issue and his ability to listen. He really seemed like somebody who could unite people who are on various sides of the position, really articulate it well, and make sure that in the end he could build consensus.
How I would describe his character is just a really hardworking person who though it makes them different than many others, talented, hardworking, but doesn't always need to take the credit for the work.
I think all of us that serve in the governor's office in the past and presently are committed to serving not just the governor, but all Oregonians. It's one I take great pride in, knowing that 4 governors have asked me to serve them, especially to provide a voice to the Hispanic community at some of these discussions. Since leaving the governor's office, I had the privilege of being an associate dean here at Willamette College of Law. But beyond that, I've also served as a trustee at the Southern Oregon University Board of Trustees. In addition to that, I've worked with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and Scholarships for Oregon Latinos and other programs, the Mid-Valley Literacy Council. All have really focused on providing educational opportunities from preschool through K through 12, through lifelong learning, because that is a really solid foundation for moving forward in your lives. And again, it's just not for the benefit of those who are students and studying. It's the betterment for all of our communities to help us out. For me, I wish my lasting legacy to be one of service, servant leadership, giving back to our communities. I think that's been my goal through my family, through my friends, through my communities, and just to see who those leaders were ahead of us in contributing to all these good causes has been a tremendous asset and opportunity for me. I do remember the aspects of getting into good trouble, and I continue to think that's a great thing to do. In other words, just don't let people tell you no. Find out ways to get those issues addressed. But I think that's our obligation to do for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities.